A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyamu kama kutiba alal ladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Ba'd a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Warrasikhuna fil ilmi yaquluna amanna bihi kullun min indi rabbina wama yadhakkaru illa ulul albab. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. My respected brothers and my sisters, today I'm going to talk to you about a very important topic. When I visit any community these days, I see our youth, they are confused about the religion, about faith. They are not getting the answers they need. They have questions, but they don't get the answers the way they should. And somehow we as a Muslim have this misconception that Islam is a name of blind faith. And that is only because we have very superficial understanding of this deen. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent this ayah on Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the ground of Arafah, time of Hajjatul Wida, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Al-yawma akmaltu lakum deenakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakumul islam deena. One Jew came to Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu and said, if we would have received this ayah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I have perfected your deen and I have completed my nema on you, وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا, and I have chosen this deen, Islam, as a way of life for you. So he said, if we would have received this ayah, we would have made that day the day of Eid. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our Khaliq and Malik, is saying that today I have perfected your deen and I have completed my nema and I have chosen this deen for you. Not only that, Allah promises, Inna nahnu nazzalna zikra wa inna lahu lahafizun, that I am the one who has revealed these ayahs, this book, this message, this deen, and I will be the one who will protect this deen, this message, this book up until the last human being on this planet. My brothers, when Allah has perfected this deen, that means that this deen has all the answers human being needs, all the knowledge we need. Every question should have answer in our deen, and there is nothing wrong in asking question. When one of the most beloved prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Khalilullah, friend of Allah, can ask question to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I want to see how you will raise life from the dead one. My brothers and my sisters, so one thing, and Quran itself, reminds us again and again that have contemplation, tadabbur on ayahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why Imam Ibn Taymiyyah has said, hour of contemplation on ayahs, on signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is better than ibadah of 1,000 years, my brothers and my sisters. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about the qualities of the pupil of contemplation and tadabbur in Surah Ali Imran, when Allah say, الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا سُبْحَانَكَ فَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. When these people who do our zikr, they remember us in standing, sitting and laying down position, and they do tadabbur, contemplation on our ayahs, immediately they say, Rabbana ma khalaqta haza batila subhanaka faqina azabannar. Ya Rabbul Alameen, you have not created all this in vain for no reason. There is a purpose, and you are the only one who is flawless. There is no fault in any creation of you we witness, Ya Rabbul Alameen. وَالرَّاسِخُونَ فِي الْإِلْمِ يَقُولُونَ آمَنَّا بِهِ كُلٌّ مِّنْ عِنْدِ رَبِّنَا. The people to whom we have given well-grounded knowledge, People of ilm, people of knowledge, when they see our ayahs, they immediately declare their shahada, their iman, kullum min indi rabbina, and all this is, they say, is from Allah Rabbul Alameen. My brothers and my sisters, so this is a complete way of life that Allah has given us, this nema as a complete deen. So we should be able to answer the questions of our youth. My brothers, so today inshallah, my job is that I want to make it very clear that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not sitting on seventh heaven and controlling my life. Rather, I should have this understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with me 24/7. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is around me. I can meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whenever I want. I can experience the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every second with every breath of my life. How I can do that? And if I can really accomplish that, then my iman will be a vibrant iman, not stagnant iman. Because iman which is stagnant, you cannot go very long with that iman. You cannot perform to your best of your potential by having stagnant or confused or half-hearted iman. My brothers and my sisters, so for vibrant iman, you need to refresh your iman every second, every moment of your life. My brothers, because when you have stagnant iman, confused iman, I have seen in our communities 3 reactions: stubborn, adamant, or anger, or inferiority complex. These are the 3 reactions that I see. People who have stagnant, jamid, sakit iman, confused, not sure, half-heartedly they are Muslim because our generations are Muslim, our parents are Muslim, so that's why I'm Muslim, but I'm not convinced, I'm not sure about it. So it brings this stagnant iman, jamid iman, brings these 3 reactions, that I'm stubborn, adamant, or anger or inferiority complex, that I will hide my religion, I will never feel proud. How can I feel proud about things that I'm not convinced, I'm not fully on board? My brothers and my sisters, the ayah of Quran which I read in front of you from Surah Baqarah, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyamu kama kutiba alal ladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that we have prescribed fasting for you so that you may attain taqwa. What is taqwa? Taqwa actually is what I just said. You want presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala around you 24/7. Whenever you want to meet, you can meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can witness the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Taqwa is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Taqwa is haya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you feel presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 24/7 no matter where you are. Taqwa is that you have love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your heart. Taqwa is that Allah is with you, the feeling of presence of Allah with you 24/7. Taqwa is God conscious. Taqwa is fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fear, not like a worldly fear. Ibn Qayyim rahmatullah alayhi says that in worldly fear, you want to run away from those things. But when you have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you want to go closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because that fear is out of love. That you are afraid, you are fearful that you do not want to lose the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'm going to give you 3 tips. And these 3 tips are that how I can really feel the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how I can attain taqwa. Number 1, we have to have this belief that Allah is haqq. Everything Allah does is khair. And Allah is jameel. And I'm going to focus on this part. Allah is jameel. We should develop this taste of appreciation of jamal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided us these ayahs in Quran. Ayah means sign, that through which we can really see Allah Rabbul Alameen. One is ayahs of Quran. There are ayahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all around us. We need eyes of our heart to appreciate the jamal, the beauty, takhleeq, the khalq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We witness, these birds, sky, sun, moon, water, but we are ignorant because we are blind. We don't have those eyes to appreciate and see the jamal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to experience nature. We are these days confined with such an artificial life that we don't even witness, we don't experience nature. And when we find little time to experience nature, we are busy in taking pictures instead of living in that moment and experiencing nature and having our feelings, our heart, our mind, our emotions immersed in that jamal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that it can uplift my iman. I can see in every leaf the whole universe. I can witness presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all this beauty and jamal of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why in the book about 500 most successful people, the author has written, one of the quality of these people was they used to go every month to spend some time to experience nature. Because when you experience nature, it opens your mind. It answers your question. It gives you new ideas. My brothers and my sisters, as a Muslim, when we will do tadabbur, contemplation, as Imam Ibn Taymiyyah has said, we will get the reward. 1 hour of contemplation, that's why it has reward of more than 1,000 year ibadah. Because through contemplation, through tadabbur, you experience a different level of iman. The halawa, the sweetness of iman. Your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gets to a different station, higher station. My brothers, so we need to develop this taste that we should appreciate the beauty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided you and me all around us as a sign, as a ayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second tip I want to give you, that we should develop this attitude of gratitude, genuine and conscious gratitude, not just lip service. We use Allah's bounties every second, one or the other, but we are so ignorant, we are so negligent that we don't appreciate those bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I will give you just one example. This sun, if this sun, because of the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, stops rising from the east, if this sun does not come for 18 hours, completely doesn't come out, not is behind the clouds or now, does not come at all for 18 hours, every living creature on this planet will be dead, except very tiny microbes deep in the earth. My brothers and my sisters, this sun provides us energy, what energy we need all year long to run our factories, to run our planes, to run our cars, to run our air condition. The energy we need in whole year on this earth, this sun provides that energy to this earth in 2 minutes. We drink this water, we eat this food, we drink water, we don't even appreciate that what a bounty and free. What if Allah would have given command of developing water and air in the hands of human being? Can you imagine how miserable the life would be if these are in control of human beings? How expensive, difficult, and how these millionaires and billionaires, they will manage and they will deprive the underprivileged people from these things, how they will do the rationing of these things. We take all these bounties for granted, my brothers. But if you are using any bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you drink a sip of water, or when you eat morsel of food, and you say thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you wake up in the morning, and you know more than 150,000 people every day do not get chance to get up in the morning. They are gone from this world. And Allah has given you this opportunity to witness another day. How many of us we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I came from death to life again, my brothers and my sisters. Shukr, gratitude when we use bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I'm saying conscious and genuine shukr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not just the lip service. The third thing, I will say, my brothers and my sisters, that to develop this taqwa, the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 24/7, meeting Allah every day. The third tip I have, that have this anticipation, eagerness that you want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Excitement about meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our brain works in such a way that if you make something excited, that you are excited about something, you are happy, you will enjoy, you want to do that thing because you will be more energized, happy, and it will bring coolness to your eyes. Our brain works in such a way, then if we are excited about something, our brain will provide means and tools to achieve that goal. But if we tell our brain, I'm not happy, I don't want to do, I'm lonely, I have no energy, then brain works in such a way that it will really make you deprive of any energy. You will feel lonely, you will not find any way out from that. Life is mortal. We all have to die. We have to go from this dunya. This is a reality of life. When we have to go from this dunya, why not have some eagerness, excitement that I want to meet my Rabbul Alameen one day? And when you will have this excitement, anticipation, eagerness, you will be more conscious of making sure that you follow the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will be more conscious of the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all around you, every second of your life, with every breath of your life. My brothers and my sisters, you will be more careful when you conduct your life in this dunya. So I will say three things. Appreciation of the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the eyes of your heart, so that you can witness the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all around you every second of your life. Have attitude of gratitude with genuine and conscious effort. Number 3, have some excitement, eagerness, anticipation, meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives you me tawfiq, that we can really develop this taqwa, God consciousness, and this feeling of presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all around us, my brothers and my sisters. So I will say to you, wallahi, if we have firm faith on our deen, and we are proud of our deen, and we know this deen is the complete way of life, and I am sincere to find answers to my questions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never leaves that person alone who is sincere in seeking answers to his questions. This Quran can guide some people, and this Quran can misguide some people. If somebody is going to go to Quran to find fitna, to find confusion, Quran is going to confuse him. But if somebody goes to Quran that he is looking for some hidayah, some guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this Quran will open its door for him or her of hidayah, my brothers and my sisters. So we should all be open for discussion with our youth. If I have any question, I should ask that question to myself, to people of knowledge, and I should be on board wholeheartedly, convinced, so that I can perform to the best of my potential, so that I have excitement, I am proud of my religion. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives you and me tawfiq that we can stay on our Islam, and when we die with our Iman, and when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will say, Inni zanantu anni mulaqin hisabiya. Life was difficult, full of challenges, but Ya Rabbul Alameen, I knew that I have to meet you one day alone by myself, and I was doing preparation of that, and I want to hear that day when I meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainna irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiya fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati wa akhiru dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.